Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire on earth. Senators, generals, advisors surrounded him constantly. Yet in his private journals, he wrote about profound isolation. Not sadness, not loneliness, something else entirely. He'd discovered something that made him untouchable, something that turned what looks like a weakness into the sharpest advantage you can have in any room where decisions get made. And it's probably happening to you right now without you realizing what you actually have. Aurelius wasn't the first to understand this. His teacher saw it decades earlier. Epictetus watched this pattern throughout his years of teaching. The students who arrived with entourages, supporters, drinking buddies, they rarely finished the training, too distracted, too concerned with maintaining their social position. But the solitary ones, they absorbed everything. They transformed completely. He told them, the crowd will always choose comfort over truth. Your job is different. When you're sitting in that conference room and nobody's saving you a seat, you're in the most powerful position available. Here's the first thing you gain. Strategy 1. The observation advantage. Being on the outside gives you something the popular crowd never gets: clarity. While they're caught up in who said what about whom, you see the actual dynamics. You notice who has real influence. You spot the alliances that matter. You understand the unwritten rules. Picture this. Everyone's in the break room laughing at someone's story. You walk in. The conversation shifts. They smile politely, then drift back to their circle. That moment stings. But watch what happens next. You grab your coffee, nod, and leave. No forced small talk. No desperate attempt to join. Just calm presence. Here's what they see. Someone who doesn't need their approval. That's unsettling to people who run in packs, because needing nothing from them means you have power they don't understand. Seneca wrote to a friend, "The man who is everywhere at home is nowhere at home." He meant that people who desperately belong everywhere actually belong nowhere. When you're not trying to fit in, you're free to observe. You notice that Jennifer always agrees with whoever spoke last, that Mark takes credit subtly by saying we when he means I, that the loudest person in the room usually has the least actual authority. This week, during your next meeting, don't participate in the pre-meeting chatter. Arrive on time. Sit down. Watch. Notice who defers to whom, who interrupts successfully, and who gets talked over, who the boss actually listens to versus who they just tolerate. Write it down after. You're building a map of how things actually work while everyone else is building social calendars. But watching isn't enough. You need to weaponize your scarcity. Strategy 2. The selective response. The fewer connections you maintain, the more weight your words carry. Think about it. Someone who comments on everything becomes background noise. Someone who speaks rarely gets attention. Your colleague posts about their weekend every Monday morning, shares opinions on every email thread, volunteers for every committee. They're exhausting, and everyone knows it. You contribute only when you have something that matters. You respond to the requests that align with your goals. You skip the social obligations that waste your time. When you do speak up in that meeting, people lean in. Not because you're popular, but because you're scarce. Epictetus taught his students to guard their opinions like treasure. For every casualty in war, there are 10 casualties from loose talk. He didn't mean literal war. He meant the daily battlefield of office politics. Here's your move. This week, cut your verbal participation in half. If you typically comment 5 times in a meeting, make it 2. If you usually respond to group chats within minutes, wait an hour. Watch what happens. Your contributions will carry more weight because people won't take them for granted. But here's the crucial part. When you do speak, make it count. Prepare. Think it through. No rambling. No hedging with, "I'm not sure, but maybe possibly." Just clear, direct value. You've experienced this already, haven't you? How many meetings have you sat through where you didn't say a word, but walked out knowing you understood more than anyone else in that room? Drop a comment. I want to hear about it. Because that feeling isn't what most people think it is. That's an advantage. Now let's talk about where to invest that advantage. Strategy 3. The reputation investment. Surface relationships come and go. Reputation compounds. While your colleagues are building social bonds, you need to build professional capital. These are completely different things. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Not popular, not liked. Good, competent, reliable, valuable." Here's what that looks like practically. Someone asks you to cover their work while they take a long lunch with the team. Everyone else would say yes to be nice. You say, "I can't today, but I can help you solve the actual problem tomorrow morning." You're not rude, not cold, just honest about your priorities. At first, this feels risky. You worry they'll think you're difficult. But here's what actually happens. Your time becomes valuable. When you do help someone, they remember it because it wasn't automatic. Your yes means something because you're capable of saying no. Seneca advised a young politician, associate with people who are likely to improve you. Notice he didn't say, associate with people who like you. Improvement beats affirmation every time. Start tracking something simple. How much time do you spend on work that advances your skills versus work that just maintains relationships? If you're spending more than 20% of your week on social maintenance, you're investing in the wrong asset. Redirect that time. Take on the difficult project nobody wants. Learn the system everyone complains about. Master the skill that's in demand. 6 months from now, when there's an opening for advancement, they won't promote the most popular person. They'll promote the most capable one. And here's where most people miss the bigger picture. This isn't just about work. Strategy 4. The home truth. Think about your home life. How many relationships do you maintain out of obligation rather than genuine connection? How many dinners have you sat through wishing you were somewhere else? How many group texts do you dread opening? Having fewer surface-level connections creates space for deeper relationships. Your partner, your kids, the 2 or 3 people who actually matter. Epictetus had one close friend. One. Everyone else was a student or an acquaintance. When you stop spreading yourself thin socially, the people who genuinely matter get the best version of you, not the drained, socially exhausted version that shows up after networking events and obligatory happy hours. The alert, present, fully engaged version. This weekend, count how many people you interact with versus how many you actually connect with. The difference is striking. Real connection energizes you. Fake connection exhausts you, which brings us to the real game you're playing. Strategy 5. The long game. Popularity is a short-term strategy. Respect is long-term. Your colleagues who spend every lunch building alliances, they're playing a fast game. You're playing a different game entirely. Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome for 19 years. He outlasted every political alliance, every faction, every social circle. You know what didn't change? His principles, his work ethic, his judgment. When you're not caught up in social dynamics, you're free to be consistent. You don't shift with the social winds. You don't say one thing to this group and another thing to that group. You don't have to remember who you pretended to be. That's exhausting. Your reputation becomes simple. This person does what they say, shows up prepared, handles pressure without drama, doesn't need hand-holding or constant validation. 10 years into your career, nobody remembers who went to whose birthday party. They remember who delivered results, who stayed calm during the crisis, who could be trusted with the important work. Here's your action step. Identify one person above you in the organization who has real influence. Not the most popular leader, the most effective one. Study them. Do they eat lunch with the group? Do they participate in every social event? Or do they show up when it matters and skip the rest? Model that behavior. You're building a career, not a social club. I'm curious about something. For those of you over 45, looking back, do you wish you'd spent more time being liked or more time being respected? Comment with your age and your honest answer. Because the younger professionals watching need to hear this from you. Because there's a pattern connecting everything I just showed you. Every single strategy requires the same foundation: emotional independence. You can't observe clearly if you're desperate for approval. You can't speak selectively if you need constant validation. You can't invest in reputation if you're chasing popularity. You can't play the long game if you're anxious about today's lunch invitation. The Stoics called this autarkia, self-sufficiency, not isolation, not coldness, just freedom from needing things from people that they were never meant to provide. Your colleagues aren't supposed to fill every social need. They're supposed to be your colleagues. When you accept that, everything becomes clearer, easier, more honest. You've spent years trying to balance being professional with being liked. That's the wrong balance. The real balance is between being competent and being collaborative. You can do both without being popular. And here's the part nobody tells you. The moment you stop needing connection at work, you might actually make some real ones. Because people sense desperation. When you're not trying to be liked, some people will genuinely respect you. Not everyone. Not even most people. But the right people. The ones who value substance over performance. Those relationships last because they're built on mutual respect, not mutual need. That's the kind of connection worth having. So where does that leave you? You started this video wondering if something was wrong with your situation. Nothing's wrong. You're just playing a different game than everyone else. While they're building social networks, you're building professional capital. While they're maintaining surface relationships, you're mastering skills. While they're worried about who likes them, you're becoming someone who matters. Marcus Aurelius died with no close companions in his court, but he died respected by an empire, remembered for 2 millennia, not because people liked him, because he was worth remembering. You don't need what everyone else is chasing. You need competence, clarity, and consistency. The respect comes automatically. The advancement follows naturally. The real relationships emerge eventually. This isn't about being cold. It's about being strategic. It's about understanding that the path to where you want to go doesn't run through the break room. It runs through the work itself. Subscribe if you want more strategies like this every week. Drop a comment telling me. What's your biggest challenge with workplace relationships right now? Remember, executive by day, stoic always. You don't need them to like you. You need them to respect you. That starts tomorrow morning when you walk in, nod politely, and get to work.